Go to work, you spend 8 or sometimes 10 hours at your job, you come back home tired, and 2 weeks later your paycheck hits your bank account. For a moment it feels good. You look at the number and you think things are finally getting better. But then something strange happens. Within just a few days that money starts disappearing. Rent gets paid, the car payment goes out, groceries get charged to your card, subscriptions renew automatically, and suddenly you look at your bank balance again and it feels like the paycheck never even arrived. This is the reality for millions of people across the United States. According to multiple financial surveys, a huge percentage of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And the surprising part is that many of them are not low-income earners. Some of them are making $60,000 a year, some are making $80,000, and some even make over $100,000 annually. Yet they still feel financially stuck. The problem usually isn't that people don't make enough money. The real problem is that most people never learn how to control the money they already have. Schools rarely teach personal finance. Parents often struggle with money themselves, and because of that, people enter adulthood without a clear system for managing their income. So what happens instead is people rely on guesswork. They spend money when they feel like they can afford it, they save whatever is left at the end of the month, and most of the time nothing is left. That's where budgeting comes in. But the word budgeting has a bad reputation. For many people, the moment they hear the word budget, they imagine a boring spreadsheet where every single dollar is tracked and every purchase feels restricted. They think budgeting means you can never eat out, you can never travel, and you can never enjoy life. But that idea is completely wrong. A good budget is not about restricting your life. A good budget is about giving your money a clear purpose. Instead of wondering where your money went at the end of the month, you decide in advance where your money should go. Think of it like a roadmap. If you start driving without knowing where you're going, you might move a lot, but you won't actually reach a destination. But when you have a map, every turn makes sense and every mile takes you closer to your goal. This is exactly what the 50-30-20 budget rule tries to do. It gives people a very simple roadmap for their money. The reason this rule became so popular in the United States is because it's incredibly simple. Most budgeting systems are complicated. They require dozens of categories, constant tracking, and a lot of time every week. But the 50-30-20 rule simplifies everything into just 3 main buckets: needs, wants, and savings. That's it. Instead of tracking 30 different categories, you focus on 3 big areas of your financial life. And once you understand how these 3 areas work together, managing money becomes a lot less stressful. The idea behind this rule is simple. After taxes, every dollar you earn should be divided into 3 sections. 50% goes to your needs, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes towards saving and investing. At first glance, this might sound too simple. But that simplicity is exactly why the system works for so many people. Let's start with the first part, the 50% category. Needs are the expenses you absolutely must pay in order to live and work. These are not optional. If you stopped paying them, your daily life would be seriously affected. For most Americans, the biggest need is housing. Rent or mortgage payments usually take up a large portion of income. In some cities, rent can easily be over $2,000 a month. After housing comes other essentials like utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments, and basic healthcare costs. These are the things you need in order to function in everyday life. The 50-30-20 rule suggests that ideally all of these essential expenses should stay within 50% of your after-tax income. For example, imagine someone brings home $4,000 per month after taxes. According to this rule, about $2,000 should go toward essential needs. That would include rent, groceries, transportation, insurance, and other required bills. If those expenses stay around that level, the person still has room in their budget for the other 2 categories. But here's where many people run into problems.
When most people first hear about budgeting, they assume it means cutting out everything that makes life enjoyable. They imagine a system where every dollar is restricted and where spending money on entertainment or fun automatically feels like a mistake. But that mindset is one of the biggest reasons why so many budgets fail. Humans are not robots. If a financial system removes every source of enjoyment, most people will abandon it within a few weeks. That's exactly why the 50-30-20 rule includes a full 30% of your income specifically for wants. This category exists for one simple reason. Life is meant to be enjoyed. The key difference is that instead of spending randomly and feeling guilty afterward, you give yourself permission to spend within a clear boundary. When spending stays inside that limit, your long-term financial stability remains protected. Let's imagine someone brings home $4,000 per month after taxes. According to the 50-30-20 rule, around $1,200 would be allocated for wants. That money can be used for things like dining out, entertainment, hobbies, shopping, travel, and other lifestyle upgrades. For many people in the United States, this category often includes streaming services like Netflix, Spotify, or other entertainment subscriptions. It may include gym memberships, weekend trips, concerts, video games, or new technology gadgets. Some people enjoy spending on experiences like travel and exploring new places. Others enjoy upgrading their home environment with better furniture or electronics. None of these things are wrong. In fact, spending money on things that genuinely improve your life can be a positive part of financial well-being. The real problem appears when wants slowly expand beyond control. This phenomenon is known as lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the most common reasons why people remain financially stuck even when their income increases. Lifestyle inflation happens when someone earns more money but also begins spending more money at the same time. Imagine someone who gets a raise at work and their monthly income increases by $500. Instead of investing that extra money, they upgrade their apartment, start eating out more often, buy more expensive clothes, and finance a newer car. Within a few months, their expenses rise to match their new income. On paper, they are earning more money than before, but in reality, their financial situation hasn't improved at all. This cycle can repeat itself many times throughout someone's career. A person might go from earning $40,000 per year to $80,000 per year over time, yet still feel like they are living paycheck to paycheck because their lifestyle expanded just as quickly as their income. The 50-30-20 rule prevents this trap by placing a clear ceiling on lifestyle spending. No matter how much someone earns, the wants category remains around 30% of their after-tax income. When income increases, that 30% increases as well, allowing lifestyle improvements without destroying financial balance. Another reason people overspend in the wants category is psychological triggers. Modern marketing is designed to make people feel like they need things immediately. Social media platforms constantly show images of luxury lifestyles, expensive vacations.
When people first start learning about money, the most exciting topic is usually investing. Everyone wants to know how to grow their money, how to build wealth, and how to eventually reach a point where money stops being a constant source of stress. But what many beginners don't realize is that investing only works properly when it's built on a strong financial foundation, and that foundation is exactly what the 20% category of the 50-30-20 rule is designed to create. This final portion of the budget is where your future gets built. While the needs category protects your present lifestyle and the wants category allows you to enjoy life today, the savings and investing category focuses entirely on tomorrow. It represents the money that will eventually give you financial security, flexibility, and freedom. For someone earning $4,000 per month after taxes, 20% would equal $800. That $800 becomes the engine of long-term financial progress. But beginners often ask an important question: what exactly should that 20% be used for? The answer usually happens in stages. The first stage for most people is building an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a pool of money set aside specifically for unexpected expenses. Life is unpredictable and unexpected costs appear more often than people expect. A car repair might suddenly cost $1,000. A medical bill might arrive after an insurance claim. A company might reduce work hours or lay off employees during an economic slowdown. Without savings, these situations often force people to rely on credit cards or personal loans, which can quickly lead to high-interest debt. An emergency fund acts as a financial safety net. Many financial experts recommend building an emergency fund that covers 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. This means enough money to pay for housing, groceries, utilities, transportation, and other necessary bills if income temporarily stops. For someone whose essential monthly expenses total $2,000, a 3-month emergency fund would equal $6,000. A 6-month fund would equal $12,000. Building this level of savings doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually by consistently directing a portion of that 20% category toward a separate savings account. Once an emergency fund is established, the next step often involves dealing with debt. Debt can act like a heavy weight on financial progress, especially when high interest rates are involved. Credit cards in the United States frequently charge interest rates that exceed 20% annually. At those rates, carrying a balance can become extremely expensive. For example, a $5,000 credit card balance with a 20% interest rate can accumulate around $1,000 of interest every year if it's not paid down quickly. That's money that could have been invested or saved. Because of this, many people use part of their 20% category to aggressively pay down high-interest debt. There are two popular strategies often discussed in personal finance. The first is called the debt snowball method. In this approach, someone focuses on paying off the smallest debt first while making minimum payments on the others. Once the smallest balance disappears, the freed-up payment gets applied to the next smallest debt. This creates momentum and motivation because debts begin disappearing one by one. The second strategy is the debt avalanche method. In this approach, someone focuses on the debt with the highest interest rate first. By eliminating the most expensive debt quickly, this method often saves more money and interest over time. Both strategies can work. The best approach usually depends on which one keeps someone motivated to continue the process. Once high-interest debt is eliminated and an emergency fund is in place, the next phase becomes investing. This is where compound interest begins to play a powerful role. Compound interest means that investment returns begin generating their own returns over time. Instead of money growing in a straight line, it starts growing exponentially. For example, imagine someone invests $500 every month into a broad stock market index fund that averages about 7% annual returns over long periods. After 10 years, that account might grow to around $85,000. After 20 years, it could reach roughly $260,000. After 30 years, it could exceed $600,000. The earlier someone starts investing, the more time compound growth has to work. This is why many financial educators in the United States emphasize starting early, even with small amounts. Waiting 10 years to begin investing can dramatically reduce the final amount of wealth created over a lifetime. Retirement, say,